Humanity, I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. My videos are about love, about creation, about infinity, about energy, because we're infinite love, infinite creation, infinite energy. This is who we are. Why? Because of the human heartbeat. The human heartbeat gives us life. Without the human heartbeat, we wouldn't exist. This is the primordial instinct to live, the human heartbeat. And we love with our hearts. And the heartbeat happens in the heart, so we live to love and we love to live. We all want to have a purposeful life. This is our purpose, to have a purposeful life. A life full of joy, full of meaning, full of fulfilling life, purposeful life. Okay? This is who we are. This is what we're here. We live to love and we love to live. Alright, so today's video is about no. The word no, N-O, no. So it's y.how/no. That's y.how/no. It's on Substack and it's on YouTube. And it's on the website. So let's talk about it. So no is a very simple notion. Okay, so it's simply no. It's what it means, no. No. It's the end, it's no. No further. No. Just stop. That's it. Ceases to exist. No. No more. The end. Period. Full stop. And why this is important? Because there is these ideas that we need to really understand, and it's all about truth spectrum. I speak about it all the time, objective reality. And this is what I talk about. I talk about objective reality. I talk about truth. This is the notions that I share with you, biology, physics, mathematics, for the most part. So let's start there, what no means from this context of the book, Fantasies and Illusions, Compass, The Quest for Free Will. So let's start at the top. No dogma. So what's dogma? Dogma is all these subjectivities, all these incomplete ideas, is incomplete information, right? That's what dogma is. Dogma is that. Dogma is information that is subjective and unrealistic, that is not necessarily truthful, that is, there is lies and misinformation and disinformation. And dogma is not necessarily evil. It's not something that is done purposely. Dogma is just something that forms as a result of tradition and as a result of customs and culture. It just forms. And all cultures, there's a lot of dogma in society. There's a lot of dogma. This is not something that is necessarily, it's just something that happens. Dogma just happens. Dogma happens. It's part of the human condition. It's part of human nature. We evolve. For example, we used to believe the earth was flat. That was dogma. At the time, that was the dogma. You see, we believed that the notion was real, that the earth was flat, and that's it. And like that, many things throughout history. So that's dogma. Dogma is when an idea that is not necessarily true, see, a false idea, you see, a lie or a subjective thing or unrealistic thing, when that kind of takes hold and a lot of people agree with it and they just pursue that because of their beliefs, their values, their principles, their ethics, their morals, the wisdom they have at the time, the customs, their traditions, that's dogma. And it forms. And it can be very destructive. But for the most part, dogma is there to teach us lessons. You see, we move away from dogma by opening our hearts, learning, humility, and, human nature, free will. We take purposeful daily action because in the end, we all loving creatures. We all purposeful. We all love. That's what we do. We all love. And because we all love, we have this ability to understand this notion, and then we move away from dogma eventually. We have done it an infinite number of times through history, we always have moved away from dogma. Always. We have moved away from dogma. We have. And this is something that we do every day. See, we move away from not knowing, from ignorance. We expand our understanding, our horizons, our origins, grow, and we know more about ourselves. We understand ourselves better, our nature, our biology, our evolution. And this is what we do, and we do these purposefully. And that's how we essentially face dogma out. It expires, it becomes obsolete, it gets disintegrated by society itself because the notions don't hold anymore, because they just dogma. So that starts with dogma, is this notion, this idea, but we all move away from it. We all, we used to believe the earth was flat and all this, and and that's not the case anymore. So then let's move into the other no fallacies. And fallacies is this other idea is based on bias, is based on heuristics, is this notion that, sometimes, fallacies, like you think you're right, and you act in certain ways because of certain beliefs that you have, certain principles, certain notions, certain values, certain ethics, certain morals, that are all based on incomplete information. It starts with dogma, and it comes from dogma. Dogma is the source. It comes from dogma. But then dogma, because it's incomplete information, is not necessarily the truth, it's incomplete information. Then, it tends to be wrong, it tends to be lies. So then that happens. Subjectivity, bias, heuristics, and then that's a fallacy, and there's all sorts of fallacies and follies out there that we all humans could, fall for, because then again, no one is immune to dogma, no one is immune to fallacies. We're all human in the end. So, but the idea is to understand that we move away from dogma. So no dogma. We move away from dogma. We move away from fallacies. So no fallacies, because they are destructive. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. If you push that idea, the dogma, you push the fallacy, then it could become a negative force, a destructive force. And we are loving creatures, and we love humanity, and this is who we are with the Republic of Planet Earth. So we don't want that. We don't want destruction. We want love. We believe in love. This is who we are. We have a heartbeat, all of us. We have a heartbeat. We all have a heartbeat. We all, our instinct is to love. We live to love, and we love to live. So obviously we don't want to live in dogma. We don't want to live out fallacies. It's just they happen because it's part of the human condition. This is part of evolution. It's part of learning, moving away from not understanding, from being unaware and unconscious. Is part of evolution. We didn't know who we were. We didn't know that we were light spherical beings, that we were compasses, that we were sundials. We didn't know this. We didn't know the nature of a species, a benevolent race, heartful species, heart-based species, a love-based species. We didn't know these things. But we now know. So we have evolved from unawareness to awareness, from unconscious to conscious, from not knowing to knowing. So we transitioned into light spherical beings. We metamorphosized into who we are, a loving species, a benevolent race. And we started with dogma and fallacies. That's what we know. We need to move away from that. And when you leave out fallacies, and they all have an origin in dogma, then it leads to this third level of no, which is falsehoods. No falsehoods, because then again, fallacies and dogma, they lead to falsehoods. Things that are just wrong, things that are not real, things that are false, incorrect, errors. And people engage in those errors willingly because of their own beliefs, because the fallacies, because of dogma. And it's not because they are bad people, because Our nature is to love. We love with our hearts. You see, we love with our hearts. It's not such a thing as a bad human being. It's just like the conditions, you see, the settings, the context. Because our nature is to love. Our nature is to love. And, you know, when there are humans out there who engage in destructive behavior, it's because, unfortunately, the conditions surrounding them led them to act in such ways. And that's why, you know, they ended up being the person they became in the end. But it's not because of the nature, it's just because of the conditions surrounding them, unfortunately, weren't appropriate. And this all comes from this notion of dogma. You see, once we remove dogma, we remove the bad conditions, we remove the ignorance, then, you know, things start to be a lot better for everyone. So people start to understand the nature from the context, and then there's less dogma, less fallacy, less falsehoods. So we all start to behave in a much more evolved way, which is who we are in the end, love. And that's where we're all moving anyway. No matter who we are, we're all moving towards this new stage. You know, moving away from falsehoods, we're always seeking truth, objective reality. So no dogma, no fallacies, no falsehoods, because falsehoods are dangerous. They're really dangerous because they're destructive. You see, you believe that what you're doing is right, and then you can take actions that are very destructive and corrosive. So that's why no falsehoods, and we can all fall for it. But then again, it's our free will that allows us to learn. So we move away from falsehood, from fallacies, from dogma. Then there is other level of no, which is assumptions. No assumptions. No assumptions. No assumptions. So assumptions, then again, are based in this notion that you know something that the other person don't know, or that you know better than the person, or that you know what the person thinks or the person does. And it's not necessarily the case, because then again, it's based on falsehood. It's based on this notion of incomplete information, on a fallacy, dogma, that you believe something that is not the case, and that's why you make the assumptions that you make. So you see, assumptions are for the most part invalid, because then again, an assumption is something that you're assuming. You don't know, you don't have the facts, the evidence to know for sure. You're just assuming that that is the case. You see, and assumptions lead to false conclusions, to falsehoods, to fallacies, to dogma, and that could lead down a downward spiral of self-destruction, destruction in general, and it's just a bad place to be. And in society, we don't want to be there. We want to move away from assumptions, because assumptions, in the end, you know, they're not full information. They're not complete information. It's just bits and pieces. You're just assuming things. You just kind of coming to terms with the notion, and then kind of taking a leap. And then, you know, sometimes, you know, some margins, right? You might be right, but not all assumptions are that way. So it's better to avoid assumptions at all times and just no assumptions, because then it frees you up as well. All this thinking and all this information and all that in the end is just harmful for yourself, for your health. And then, you know, those assumptions could be dangerous as well for the other group or the other people or the other person. So staying away from assumptions is important. It really is. So this another level after assumptions, and these stereotypes. So no stereotypes. Again, because stereotypes are based on this notion. You see, a stereotype is this idea that, you know, there is commonality and sameness, and equifinality, meaning same end states across the board for a specific group or for a specific person or for a specific, type or sort, just because of all these assumptions and all these falsehoods and all these fallacies and all this dogma behind this idea that forms into stereotypes. For example, the stereotype that, I don't know, there's so many stereotypes. So the stereotype, I don't know, let's just come up with a stereotype. We all know what a stereotype is. So I don't really want to talk about stereotypes because we know what it is. It's this idea that we can treat a group or treat, a person in a homogeneous way, meaning like same as everyone else, and making assumptions about that person based on falsehoods, fallacies, and dogma, because that person might have a common background or share a common belief or look in a specific way or have certain patterns or certain traits that might resemble an assumption, that might resemble a falsehood, a fallacy, a dogma that leads to stereotype. Because stereotype is very dangerous. You see, this is very dangerous territory now, because a stereotype is a judgment. You are judging already. You see, it's a judgment. You are judging. You're like, oh, this is who you are, and the reason why you are this is because of this, this, and that. But then you're making assumptions because you don't really know that, because you don't know the person. You're just making an assumption based on what? Fallacies, falsehoods, dogma, based on preconceptions that you have, ideas that you hold, heuristics, bias, based on all these different things that are based on subjectivities and unrealism. You see, they're false, they are lies. And that is why this is a notion that is very dangerous, because a stereotype leads to violence in the end. It does. It leads to violence. It leads to hate. It leads to all this negative energy, all this pain, all this suffering, all these destructive forces that we humans don't want to engage with, because we are in the 21st century. We have created the Republic of planet Earth. It's all of us. All of our republic is all of us. Really, it's all of us. So we are, Mother Earth is our planet. We all citizens of the Republic of planet Earth, no matter who we are. No matter our wisdom, no matter our beliefs, our values, our principles, our morals, and our ethics, we all are human. You see, being a human is not a stereotype. Being a human is truth. We are the same species, and we are a heartful species. It's based on objective reality. We are a benevolent race, self-conscious and aware, light spherical beings. So you see, that's not a stereotype, because we all are that, because it's biological, it's mathematical, it's physics. It's nature, it's evolution. That's not a stereotype. To say that our nature is to love is not a stereotype. It's not an assumption, it's not a falsehood, it's not a fallacy, it's not dogma. Because it's biology, you can see it and it's replicated across the board. Every single human has a heartbeat and is electromagnetic in nature. And we live to love and we love to live. This is across the board. So there's no stereotype there, because it's uniting us. You see, it's all coming together as one. It's a species, a loving species. So a stereotype is the opposite of that. It's something that leads to division and disunion and all these things that are about disintegration, not of the shadow, which is a good thing, because the shadow is a problem that we all humans, could suffer from, because we all have an unconscious mind. So it's moving away from that. Disintegrating the shadow is a good thing. But disintegrating union in terms of humanity and our nature, this is not good. This is not good. So we want to stay away from that. We want to stay away from stereotypes that lead to that, to disunion, to division, to separation, to dividing. Because all these notions of division, they are all harmful. They are harmful. They don't lead to a healthy space. They don't. They lead to trouble. and we want to stay away from trouble. We need to understand our nature, and our nature is to love. We love with our hearts, and we live to love, and we love to live. So it's loving everybody out there. Doesn't matter what they believe in, doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter if you know they have dogma. It doesn't really matter if you know there's fallacies, because you also have dogma and fallacies. We all do. It's just different ones. It's not always the same dogma and the same fallacy and the same falsehoods and the same assumption. I'm not saying that I'm free from these things. You see, I have dogma, I have fallacies, I have falsehoods, I have assumptions, and I sometimes also make stereotypes, because we all err. But it's staying away from it, it's saying no to them, identifying them, you see, and knowing that they're harmful and they're corrosive and destructive. So it's understanding this notion, it's understanding that we ought to stay away from these things because they lead to separation, to division. And my message is about love, it's about creation, it's about energy, it's about infinity, because I believe in the human race, I believe in our nature, our benevolent nature. This is what I truly do believe in, and I believe that the best way is for us to work together, all humans, all of us to work together as one species. Here on Earth, Mother Earth, the Republic of Planet Earth, which is our Earth. We are all the citizens of the Republic of Planet Earth. There's not such a thing as a human who's not a citizen of the Republic of Planet Earth. You see, there's not such a concept. That's a fallacy. That's a falsehood. We all citizens of the Republic of Planet Earth, no matter who you are. We all citizens of the Republic of Planet Earth. We all the citizenry of the Republic of Planet Earth. We are all examples. We are all leaders of the Republic of Planet Earth. We are all defenders of the Republic of Planet Earth, because this is our home. This is where we come from. No matter your context, your conditions, we are all from Earth. And this is based on true objective reality. All humans are born on Earth. To my knowledge, I might be wrong about this, but my understanding is that we are from Earth. And if I'm wrong, but I want to be proven wrong with evidence. So far, I think I'm right. I might be wrong in the future, but so far, we all born here. We all come from a womb, so far. So, that's it. No stereotypes. Staying away from divisive methods and things that we all, unfortunately, can fall victims to. Staying away from that, because then there's something worse that comes. Conjectures, you see. This idea, this is very dangerous, this idea. Much more dangerous than stereotypes. Much more dangerous than stereotypes, because this is conviction now. Conviction. Conjecture comes from, has the same origin, you see, conviction. Conjecture comes from con, which con is knowledge, it's like understanding. This is Latin, it's ancient, comes from knowing, cognizance, like conscious, like knowing. So conjectures is this assumption that you think you know. And it's like a conviction. And you justify the conviction, you have facts and you have events. And these all are fabrications. For the most part, it's false information. Events that are not necessarily events, they're just, data sets and things that are there but misinterpreted or misunderstood, not complete information, not full information, based on dogma, fallacies, falsehoods, assumptions, stereotypes, all these different things that lead to conjectures. And these conjectures are because a lot of the things that we do, sometimes we formulate a lot of ideas that are collectivized and like common purpose in society and shared purpose and stuff. A lot of people back them up, and there is institutionalization and all sorts of things that drive them that are based on conjectures. That are not actually, it's a theory. It's a theory in progress. It's like a hypothesis that, the certain assumptions that are being made, certain constants that are being put in place without full information. And then we make assumptions based on previous patterns of behavior and other incomplete data sets, and we pull them all together and we start to deduce and induce, and then we start to formulate, and we create false algorithms, falsehoods, false axioms, false theorems, false proofs, and we manufacture events and fabricate them because we do them thinking that they're right, but they're all fabricated because they're not based on objective reality. We run them, we do experiments, we do the whole scientific method on those conjectures. When we run them hard for decades, we do all sorts of experiments and we run them and back them and believe in them, put energy and time and purpose behind them and all that. And they turn out to be a total failure at lies because it's based on conjectures. And this is very powerful because it's dangerous. This idea, conjectures are dangerous because, they lead to massive misallocations, massive distortions, massive problems, bottlenecks, systemically speaking. All sorts of trouble comes as a result of conjectures, particularly when conjecture is conceived with conviction. Like you think you're right. I'm right, and I'm right, and this is the way it is because I'm right. And it's all based on conjecture. So it's a much more powerful, destructive dynamic, and we ought to stay away from it. And believe me, we all have conjectures. There's not a human out there who doesn't have conjectures. We all do. We all do. Because the thing about a conjecture is that a conjecture feels real. You think it's the truth. You do. You do, because there's a lot of information there that seems real, and evidence and stuff, and events, patterns, trends, and then you start to believe that, that is it. You see? That is it. But in the end, it's not. And it's destructive. So we ought to stay away from conjecture. No conjectures. We need to, moving forward as the Republic of Planet Earth, us, the citizenry, we need to double our efforts, triple our efforts, quadruple our efforts, 10x our efforts, really exponentially focused on trying to stay away from conjectures because they're dangerous. They're very destructive. Conviction of conjecture is a very destructive force. Okay, so let's talk about the final no, which is generalizations. And generalizations by far is the most dangerous and corrosive of them all. By far. Because it's the add up of everything. It's the add up of dogma, fallacies, falsehoods, assumptions, stereotypes, conjectures. You add it all up and you generalize. It's a massive generalization, and we just run them. It's a blanket statement. It's a blanket behavior type of approach. It's just that, and that is problematic. Very problematic. It's extremely destructive. Most of our problems are based on generalizations because they come from all these dogma, falsehoods, fallacies, assumptions, stereotypes, conjectures. It's the accumulation of the aggregation, the aggregate of everything. We generalize it into one thing, one label, one word, one slogan, one thing, one logo, one idea, and we encapsulate it all into one thing. And those are the most destructive ones because they're packed with all these lies. It's all this stuff in one notion. And these are the most destructive ones. They're very, very destructive. And because it's a generalization, it could lead to like a lot of people picking them up. Because it seems real, it seems simple, it seems complex, because there's a lot of information in there. So all that, kind of feels like, sometimes the human brain, heuristics and all these, we want to come to conclusions really quickly. Deduction, induction, we just want to kind of like path of least resistance in a way. Fill in the gap, okay, that makes sense. Is it approved by, people out there? Do people agree? What's the feeling? What's the sentiment? It was the zeitgeist. You see, what are the times? It was the read. You see, okay. So this is generally believed. This is the common belief. You see, so then it becomes a general idea, generalization, and then that's a problem because then it collectivizes a lot of behavior that's all just wrong. Behavior that is just wrong. truly wrong. And destructive because it's the accumulation of everything, no dogma, fallacies, falsehoods, assumptions, stereotypes, conjectures, all into one bundle. You bundle it up in one category, one label, one slogan, one logo, one idea, one thing, and then one person, all that, and it just leads to a massive bottleneck, massive problem, all sorts of issues that are just problematic. And because we are the human race and we are intelligent and we are benevolent species and we live to love and we love to live, we are smart enough to understand that we ought to say no to generalizations. We have to say no to generalizations. And we need to move away from all these. We need to move away from generalizations. We just have to move away from them. And we do that with love. We love ourselves. We love others, we love what we do, and we do what others do. And by loving, we start to chemo and we start to, disintegrate the shadow and take all this energy and all this bad stuff out of everything. And then we transition into the Republic of Planet Earth, our creation, because we all light spherical beings. This is who we are. This is our nature. My message is always a message of love. It's a message of creation, a message of energy, message of infinity, because this is who we are. We're infinite love, we're infinite creation. We are infinite everything. We are incredible. With the human species, it's a benevolent race. We are amazing. All of us. There's no human out there who doesn't have an incredible ability to love. You see, because we all have a human heart. We all love. And we are capable of creating, all of us, no matter who you are, where you come from, we all have the ability to love and create and to do wonderful things, just to do wonderful things. And we live to love and we love to live. This is who we are. We're infinite eternal compasses. We're infinite eternal sundials. This is who we are. This is our nature. This is who we are. We light spherical beings. We have a beautiful future ahead of us. Because we are here to fulfill our purpose and make our dreams come true, because this is who we are. We are the human race. And humanity, I want you to know that I love you with all my heart, with all my might, because this is who we are. We are the human race. We are benevolent species. We are love-based species, a heart-based species. We are conscious, self-aware species. We have transitioned into who we are, light spherical beings. Infinite energy, infinite love, infinite creation. We are eternal. This is who we are. And we say no to dogma, no to fallacies, no to falsehoods, no to assumptions, no to stereotypes, no to conjectures, no to generalizations. And we say yes to love, yes to creation, yes to infinity, yes to eternity, yes to existence, yes to the human heart and the human nature that we live to love and we love to live. Yes to compass, yes to sundial, yes to creation. Humanity, I love you. Yes to the Republic of Planet Earth. Yes to the citizenry. Yes to the leadership of the Republic of Planet Earth. Yes to the defendership of the Republic of Planet Earth. We are all the defenders of the Republic of Planet Earth. We are all the leaders of the Republic of Planet Earth. This is who we are. This is who we are. This is our nature. This is who we are. Humanity, I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. I will be making more videos. I love you all.